much bees. The
God,
bees.
bees are amazing.
I don't know where that came from, but
I just love bees.
good choice, man. Good choice.
Oh, God. I want everything about bees at the moment. Like yesterday, I go over to Rowan and Pierce's place, and I said, "Oh, can I come by and pick?" Because I was picking up some equipment. Like, "Oh yeah, sure." Oh, good. I'll come around and I'll bring bees. Man, what is it with you and bees at the moment? It's like bees are amazing.
Can you jam with the console cowboys in cyberspace?
Video games.
Welcome, friends of all designers, to Top 5.5 Bit, the weekly show where we do our top fives in various criteria. This week's criteria: top 5 games with bees.
Oh, I've been so looking forward to this one.
Oh, finally!
I've been getting excited.
I've had so much bee lust this week. It's been fantastic. That you would not believe in researching for this episode just how many games I got excited by. I was like, oh my god, the bees.
When you said this one last week, my immediate reaction was, "What the hell, Paul?" But then I thought of 3.
It's so many good bees.
There are a surprising number of games that use bees.
I've gone and played new bee games this week. It's really been good. So I'm your host, Paul, and joining me today is my honey-loving friend, James.
How you going, everyone?
Oh, yeah. Them sweet honey.
And sweet.
And my friend who likes to stick his dick in flowers, Ben.
At court order to stay out of the botanical gardens, Ben.
Okay.
It's a good start.
I always love it when we hit a sore spot with Ben because he doesn't really respond.
No,
we just get like
sad.
A silence
like,
and then
like, again, yes, whatever. No, I'm gonna make one my number 5 so I can do this during the number 5. Okay, so games with bees. Ben, were you excited by this week's topic?
No, not at all. And actually, I had a lot of trouble finding 5. I don't know how the hell you guys found 5 easily.
There's so many bee games.
There's not. I searched the internet. I was just going 5 games with bees in bee games. There's this guy that's done a top 10 bee games, and he went through them, and I hadn't heard of most of them.
There's a top 10 bee games. I should have looked that one up. I know what one of his will be. Oh, what that will be probably. It's so good. I love my bees. Okay, well, let's get into this bee goodness. James, what is your number 5?
Number 5 is one of my favorite MMOs, and that's The Secret World. The Secret World had a very strong bee theme. Did you notice the bee theme?
I don't remember the bees.
No. In the lore of the world, there is this thing called the buzzing. And it says
that's the least sinister sound ever.
It says things like, give you little snippets of information like, "Our wisdom flows so sweet, taste and see." The buzzing is kind of this interesting plot point where the buzzing is used to give lore to the player. And the buzzing, when you walk around the world, you'll find these little honeycomb things you can pick up.
Yeah.
And then you'll kind of get a little snippet. It'll say, like lore unlocked or whatever, and you get like this little bit of flavor text of describing some of the world in the Secret World. And really, the world is the best part in the Secret World, And the buzzing is sort of like this self-aware force of the bees. And whenever you find one of the portals back to the world hub, Agartha, if you're always around there, there'll be little bees flying around, and like there's this strong theme of bees, and I think they're just this kind of force which has been existing forever, basically, to get knowledge across. One of the characters in the game,
bees are eternal. Yeah,
comments that their honey has a bit of an aftertaste of motor oil. So I guess they make honey as well, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I thought it was an interesting little thing that they put in because bees they've got some kind of interesting connotations. Like there's a thing where if the bees disappear, the world is screwed. Like in the Happening, that's what it taught us. The bees were disappearing.
And the trees get real mad.
And the trees get grumpy, and you got to talk to them nice. But yeah, I thought it was a nice way to give information about the world in a bee-like manner, because the more we get of that, the better.
Yeah. I was looking for this list of bands, which is top 10 bee games. I think it might be a video, though.
Yeah, it's a video. Yeah.
No fun. Okay, Ben, we're excited to see what you did end up with. What's your number 5?
This week I'll do one of my reverse lists where I'll talk about the most interesting first, just looking
Why
for.
you can do it the other way?
Why do you do that?
Just like
Because
take
then
what you're
hopefully
about
I'll
to
have
do.
something will come to me. So
But it never does. You just get to the
no,
number one.
it does.
And you go, I guess my number one is just this game.
I'll tell you what my night before last was. I just went to Google Images. I was getting so desperate. I was typing in random game names and then the word B just to see if there'd be a screenshot of the game with the B. So I'd do like Oblivion B because I thought surely there's a B in Oblivion somewhere. Nope. So I just did that to try to find Bs in games.
All right, what's your
So
number
anyway,
five?
my number 5 is actually probably the best use of bees in a game that I actually know of. And actually, this was probably my first one. It's the bees in BioShock. They're freaking awesome. You like get that. What are they called? I forgot them. You get the power ups. Yeah, and then he's like shoots bees, and it's like, okay, that's pretty awesome. Good job, BioShock. You use bees well, exactly how they're intended.
If you got the plasmid and you put it on like a guard dog, could you release the dogs that shoot bees? And when they bark, bees come out of them.
I remember the hand animation for that plasmid was pretty awesome.
Yeah,
that was a good use of bees.
They really made sold the idea of shooting bees from your hands feel realistic. I thought
they did. Like I got to live that dream of bee wielding.
So I've got to choose my number 5.
Yeah,
and it's hard because I have a lot of bee games. Okay, so what I'm going to go is a game that isn't. I know, you know what? It's not that well reviewed, but I kind of like it. It's a mobile game. You can get it on Steam, but if you get it on Steam, you're an idiot. It's just to be played with a touchscreen. So it's called Bumble. It's
okay.
It's like Dumbledore, but with a bee. So you're a wizard, and it's sort of a mixture between sort of remember Defend Your Castle?
Yeah.
So Defend Your Castle and Angry Birds, but it's sort of a puzzle thing. It's actually a kind of interesting design. Basically, you've got a bunch of different spells, and they'll send waves of enemies at you. And really, it's not just obviously you got to kill all the enemies, but the real goal of the game is to work out the correct combination of spells and timing and everything to take them out to get the best score and take them out with the least moves possible. It's actually really hard to get all 3 stars on every level. You actually have to be pretty accurate with what you're doing. It's a fun thing. At least it was free on Android. I just grabbed it this week because I saw it ages ago, laughed but never played it. This week I was like, no, I need to get that game. But at the same time I thought, what happens if I type B into the Android marketplace? Okay, here we go. Tiny Bee free, Flappy Bee. I bet you can't work out what that one is. Another game called Flappy Bee. Little Flappy Bee. They're all basically Flappy Bird or Tiny Wings clones, but just bee in the name.
Bees.
Buzz Bee, Escape the Bee, Angry Bees, Bee, Tiny Bee, Sonic Bees. Oh, they got some spelling bee games. Buzzy Bee, which is like again just Flappy Bird. It's just like it goes on and on. It just seems that you can just take any game and put a bee in it, and it's new and original.
It's instantly better.
Oh, God. There are at least 5 games here called Flappy Bee.
Yeah, I want Titanfall. It really needs more bees. I want giant mecha bees.
Yeah. Titan Bee?
Titan Buzz? Hivefall?
Hivefall, that works.
Yeah.
I'll drop down the hive and release the bees.
Yeah.
Nicely done. Okay, time for number 4s. What have you got for me, James?
I actually did a very similar thing to what you did, except I went to iOS.
Yeah, okay.
I thought, all right, bees. All right, bee games. Let's let the people decide. So I thought, I'll get my iPhone, I do a search for bee, and I got the highest rated bee game I could find, and that was called Bee Leader. It's a surprisingly good game. It's actually really slick. So it's free. Go grab it. It's kind of like this. You play this very nicely animated bee on this 3D world, and the goal is to leave the hive, go collect honey, and then fly back and drop it off before the sun goes down. So you got a time limit. And it's a little hard to control at first. I started getting the hang of it. The camera's in a little bit close. I had trouble seeing some things, but it ends up working okay. And basically, you go to flowers, you sit next to the flower, and it sucks up the honey, and then you go back. But there's all these nice little touches that they were surprisingly fleshed out. Like you could collect little bees. So you're the bee leader, right? So you have little bees that follow you around, and they just like they cheer you on as you go and tell you how awesome you are.
I'm looking at this game now. It looks awesome. I wish it was on Android.
Yeah, it's a very slick looking game, like really nice art style. It's really well put together.
I'm not quite sure. I was sort of gonna go
Almost Loco Roco.
Yeah, Loco Roco was what I was thinking. Yeah, but a bit more detailed, a little bit more detailed than that.
And there's just little things like I discovered as I played. Like there was these barrels, and I found if I smashed into them, they'd like break, and I'd get honey out of them. And you kind of avoid clouds. Like you want to avoid the weather, otherwise you lose some of your honey. It was a lot of really good ideas. I think it's from a New Zealand team actually. But I think the App Store community did a good job. They found a good bee game and they uprated it. I also couldn't figure out how it was monetized. It just seemed kind of free. I mean, maybe it's just sort of like some kind of bee awareness game because it tells you little bits about bees, like in the loading screen, little bee facts, so you can learn as you play. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, Bee Leader. Yeah,
Bee Leader, yeah.
Seems to be a New Zealand team. I want it on Android now.
Yeah.
Guess what? You can get it on Mac as well. What? Oh, okay. Just not on
Android.
Sorry, man. I'll have to work it out.
It's time to swap to iPhone.
I might just be able to play it on my computer, actually.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Sweet.
You should check it out.
Fabulous. Okay, Ben, what is your number 4, which is just going to get better and better?
Yeah, my number 4 for the second week in a row is Viva Pinata. It's got a puzzle gum. It
does.
It's kind of a weird looking bee. It's actually probably the most evil looking of the Pinata animals. But he's quite valuable. You can put a hat on him and sell him for quite a lot of money. He's sort of like the economic stimulus of the Viva Pinata garden.
Did the different pinatas have different romance dances?
Yeah.
So what was
different one?
So what was the bee romance dance?
Oh, sorry. See, I didn't research that.
They just stuck each other in the face repeatedly.
Yeah, it was horrible. It was horrific.
Yeah, it's truly just
one of
monstrous.
them will be dead at the end. That game had some dark themes.
Okay. Now, here is I think for my number 4, this is a strange one for me to pick because there's a story here. Okay, so on our Facebook page from last week's top 5, we got a comment by Rob O'Hara that he hopes to see 720 on next week's list. Now, I didn't quite know what he was talking about. Because this game is 720 degrees, it is an old skateboarding game that was arcades made by Atari. And it is amazing.
Yeah.
It's a isometric skateboarding game, like sort of like Snake Rattle and Roll sort of perspective on it, but it's really smooth. It looks great. You sort of got like an open hub, and then you just go into different areas for different events. I mean, it looks cool, and apparently there's bees in it. But I was like, well, I haven't played it. I don't really know how the bees do anything, but I thought it looked cool enough to get a mention, and where else would I mention it because I didn't know the game yet. Well, I am now determined to go get a copy of it. But what it made me think of was a vehicle game from that sort of isometric perspective that could have bees in it.
Yeah.
It did similar to what Ben did when he was like Googling for things with bees. It's like, does Paperboy have bees? Yes, Paperboy has bees. I think it might only be the arcade version, but there's a few different. I couldn't quite get a scenario. At least the version I was playing didn't. But when you slowed down, you got attacked by bees. So Paperboy, as an extension of 720 degrees, gets onto my top bee list just because I thought, okay, Rob, we'll get it in there. So there's my convoluted and odd number 4.
Number 4.
Okay, time for number 3s. What have you got for me, James?
Number 3 is a game I always love talking about. I just don't get much of an opportunity to talk about that often, and that's Captain Comic.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so Captain Comic was the kind of I'd say open world platformer back in the 90s, back on PC. Notoriously difficult because there was no way to save. But it had lots of variety in levels and kind of different mechanics, and it had fucking bees. There were lots of different enemies in this game. There were shy birds, there were brave birds, there were bug-eyed insects, there were beach balls, and there were bees. So the reason I say bee with a degree of disdain is because the way they moved So most things in this game would have some kind of pattern that would come towards you in a sine wave, or they come towards you, they bounce around, and you shot horizontally, so you could hit the damn things. So you could hit them as a no, not the bees. What the bees would do, they scoot along at head, like above head height, and then just drop down on your head. And there's just no way. I basically, these things would hit me 50% of the time, and even though you could take a few hits before dying, you don't. If you fail in that game, that's it. You start the whole game again. So those bees became like the bane of my Captain Comic play experience. But Captain Comic, I want to plug as a game that people should play.
Yeah.
Because it's even though there's no saving, it's actually not particularly long. So you can probably get through it in about an hour or so. And it's almost got that kind of, I'm going to say it, that Dark Souls sense of
it does.
But it honestly really does, because in Dark Souls you've got that thing where it's like, I'm going down into a dungeon, and if I die, I've got to go back to the start, and you end up with this really tense experience. And Captain Comic gives you that. The platforming is generally pretty tight. The shooting's pretty tight. The worlds are varied. There's one part in it where it's just a leap of faith, which is probably the worst part. They shouldn't do that. But apart from that, yeah, it's a really solid game, and you should go hunt it down and just watch out for those goddamn bees.
Yep, good pick. Speaking of good picks, Ben.
Yeah, this is one that I got from Google imaging Mario and B. Actually got 2 Mario games by doing that, and it's one that didn't really come to me straight away, but actually turns out some other people actually mentioned it as well when I did further research. In Mario Paint, there's a fly swat game, and in that game, there's bees. And actually,
that's true.
This
is not the Mario game I thought you were picking, but yes, good.
Yeah, but in this game, I actually remember the fly swat game, but I don't remember Mario Paint, oddly enough.
I think that was a pretty common fly swatter game.
Was it?
Yeah, I don't think it was particularly original to that, but it was in it.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just like you got a hand, you go around, just swat bugs, and bees are involved. I don't know.
Hence meeting the criteria.
Yeah.
Criteria fulfilled.
Yeah.
Okay. God, I'm having such a trouble picking through what to go here. Okay. This is I have so little to say on this, but it is just amazing. So James and Ben, get your Google image search ready.
All right.
Okay. So you guys played much EverQuest?
A very, very small amount.
Have you ever seen a Bixie?
No, I haven't.
Look up Bixies. Bixies.
Bixies. All right.
B-I-X.
EverQuest Bixies. What?
I get Wheat Bix.
Oh, this needs to go into the show notes. Those are some sexy bees.
They are very, very sexy bees. And by sexy bees, we mean hideously deformed, weird, just like people with wings and then painted like bees. It's a species, like, weirdly, I thought like EverQuest would have like wikis full of lore or something, and I could look up what's the deal with the Bixies. No, I actually had a really hard time finding details, so all I've really got are these couple of image searches with Bixies in them.
I found a really good looking one from EverQuest too, from a boss. A Bixie boss.
Yeah, you don't want those ones. You want the ones that look like they're friends of Tingle.
Oh, I think we have some show art.
Oh, it's beautiful. Go the Bixies. Oh, yeah. Truly, one of the most underrated of fiction of imaginary creatures.
You think there's like a furry equivalent of bees?
Oh, there must be.
I hope so.
Should we quickly Google bee furries?
Bee furries, or maybe they're hiveys, maybe?
I don't know. I think they go. Oh, yes.
Oh, we found this. There we go.
There's some. Not too many. Mostly 3D models.
But the internet has delivered.
You will. Just warning, you will get some boobs. Okay. Time for number 2s. What have you got for me, James?
All right. Well, I have a sound for this one.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, the sound effects. Okay. Are we ready?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, crap. What did I call it?
Preparation.
Oh, no. It's not in the thing I thought I put it in. I might have done something weird. Sorry. Just hum for a second, entertain yourself. I'll pull it back up.
How you going, Ben?
I'm a little bit hungry.
You a little hungry?
Oh,
You gonna have some cereal?
it was there. It just wasn't arranging by date properly. Here we go.
I offer you a luscious honeycomb from our hive. Please feel free to retrieve one. I promise my bees won't harm you.
What?
You know what that is?
I promise my
Okay.
bees won't harm you. It's a queen bee of something from.
Yeah. It's actually from a very recent, sounds a bit like, and that's from King's Quest V.
Oh!
It's the bee queen. You save the beehive from being attacked by a bear. So there's a bear there ripping into it, and if you have the fish, you can throw it at the bear.
Take that, bear.
Take that bear.
Oh no, dinner! Quick, duck!
And lets you get to that hive, and then you are spoken to by, I think, Queen Beatrix, I think. Can't remember her name exactly. And she's got this kind of Southern Belle sexiness going to her. Don't see that many sexy bees, but you just gave us some, so we got like double entendre of
You got
sexy
a lot
bees.
of sexy bees.
Yeah.
Okay, Ben, what is your number 2?
Yep, my number 2 is this is where I sort of get to a bit of joke status. It's a joke. It's the Bee Movie game. There's a Bee Movie. It was horrible. I don't know if actually anyone ever played
I
it.
heard the Bee Movie game was not terrible.
Well, did anyone actually play it? The main thing
course I
I
did.
remember the Bee Movie for is for the way it ruined an episode of 30 Rock. It was just the most blatant, what do you call it? Cross promotion.
Yeah.
And the show tried to do it tongue in cheek, but it just didn't work. It was just a disaster of an
It worked for
episode.
me. I thought it was fine.
Yeah. I didn't. Anyway, yeah, so there's a Bee Movie game. Go nuts. Go bees.
Go bee.
Go the bees.
I can't wait for your number 1.
It must be.
Actually, my number 1's not too bad.
I'm really hoping that some of my more standard picks go into Ben's because I want to not do them so I can talk about some of the crazy ones. But I think I'll be hitting the most. Okay. I suppose I want to talk about this because this just looks like a good game, and I don't think it's. This is B-52, kind of like a B-52 bomber, except you're a bee, and you are flying around. This is a NES platformer. You get to fly, and your job is to get through each level, sucking all the nectar out of flowers, and then returning them to the hive to fill the honey jars. And in the later levels, you have to get every single flower in the level. It's really cool because it starts in like a backyard, a guarded environment, and slowly you start moving inside the house and everything as the levels progress. You actually get to shoot It's not a super hard platformer, but there's lots of enemies around. You've got combat. You actually can shoot. I don't know how bees shoot, but this bee can shoot. I guess because he's a B-52. I forgot that the B-52 was a plane when I first was rendering this. I'm like, I don't know what this has to do with the B-52s. Am I going to discover a rock lobster I forgot about or something? But no. I think it's a really cool and mostly forgotten platform on the NES. And you can go look up gameplay videos and stuff. Yeah, it's good, and if you can get a copy of it, you might emulate these days. But you can't really see me doing an aside on audio, can you? I said emulate under my breath because it was non-official. But yeah, very cool B game. B-52 gets my top of B protagonist games. So time for number 1s. James, what do you got for me?
My number 1 is not even technically a video game.
Not good.
But I think it is one of the best uses of bees I've seen in the gaming sphere, and that is the Halo 2 alternate reality game. I Love Bees.
Oh god, I remember. I Love
so
Bees.
it was a marketing campaign that came out before Halo 2, and it was developed by 42 Entertainment, which was actually founded by Jordan Wiseman, which I didn't really realize until I was researching this one. And I was kind of sorry I missed the boat on it because it was one of the most interesting marketing campaigns I've ever seen. So what they did is they created a website called I Love Bees, which was this fake site for a woman who loved bees, and she had made stuff about bees. And they put they hid it in the Halo 2 trailer to point people at this site. And then what they did is they slowly corrupted that site and created this pretty complex narrative that kind of tied into the Halo universe. It was technically not canon, but they kind of incorporated some things into the main canon eventually. And the basic idea was that there was an AI from a downed military spacecraft that hides itself on a San Fran web server, and starts communicating to the world through this I Love Bees website. And you can go look it up to find out the full story of it. They did all kinds of crazy stuff. They would they put stuff in it which was very cryptic, and it kind of like was telling of the kind of like what the humans can accomplish when you throw enough at them, that they could give these really obscure hints and people would figure it out. So they do things like they gave like I think it was 100 or 210 pairs of like global like GPS coordinates and gave them time codes, and that's all they did. The GPS time, and people figured out they actually pointed to payphones, and they had to globally go around and basically be at these payphones at a certain time, and someone would call them, and that would sort of be part of the whole plot. They did some really cool stuff, and really used non-conventional ways to get players involved.
I don't know if it was the first sort of big ARG, but it was certainly the first one I recall like having a really big impact on everyone.
Yeah.
So yeah, just the things that people would do, and it was so great. Like I wouldn't be involved in it.
You read the wiki, though.
Following it was amazing.
Yeah, it was just what people would figure out and the kind of things they were doing. It's and they haven't really managed to do that again. I don't know how easily it can be done again. It was incredibly successful. It got more than 3 million views on that site. So from a marketing perspective, it was an amazing success. But just from like a narrative perspective, it was also really cool.
And just a creative perspective.
And just like the fact you could have this really complicated puzzle and people would solve it. I mean, I guess we saw. Valve did kind of similar things.
Yeah, they did a few IRGs and stuff.
Yeah, but none of them ever quite hit as well as I Love Bees did.
No, that's an iconic one. Okay, Ben, we're ready for your best game. Definitely the best game that you have.
With
The
bees.
most interesting bee pick.
Yep.
What is it, Ben?
Now, this is actually an account, because this is in my Google image search. I was just typing random games and bees. I thought, okay, farming simulator, it's got to have bees in. And it does. But it comes up, it actually led me to this YouTube video, and it's just these 3 people playing farming simulator, 2 guys and a girl. And it's about a 12-minute video, and I watched pretty much the whole thing. It's quite hilarious because just listening to these 3 people play, and they get the beehive and they put it they're trying to put it somewhere, and then they put a building on a road and cars are just driving straight through it, and it's what I kind of check out. And it's got a beehive in, and it's got some bees.
Wait, what game is this?
Farming simulator.
Farming simulator.
We should play some multiplayer farming simulator.
We should.
They're not playing multiplayer. They're just commentating over the top while they play it.
Okay.
It's really amusing. So
is it only one person playing it?
I think it's one of them. Yeah, one of them's controlling it.
Farming simulator.
Could be, but this one I think is just one person playing, and the 3 are talking over the top and having a good time watching him play farming simulator.
Okay, this puts me in a dilly of a pickle because I've got things I want to talk about, but I've only got one pick left.
We can have honorable mentions, man.
And one of them, it's obvious and it's serious, but it can't be ignored, and it was already a cheat. So okay, my number 1 is a dual mix, because I can't. They're both pretty kind of similar. Mario Galaxy and Banjo-Kazooie. We're talking 3D exploration platformers. Great, except both of these have the ability to transform you into a bee. Mario Galaxy is a suit. Banjo-Kazooie, quite literally, Mumbo Jumbo, I think is his name, he casts a spell and turns you into a fat little bee, and you get to fly around the world. Both of these things, both adorable, putting the main character into the form of a bee, and just really fun gameplay-wise as well. The freedom of being a bee, it's all we've ever wanted. So those 2 games can't really be ignored. I think you can be in Banjo-Tooie as well, but I can't remember that. I can't remember that level, because the first one's in the big tree. I think I've got the games the right way around. Oh, God, who cares? Someone will pull me up on it if I've got it wrong. But yeah, because it's that big tree, and man, navigating that thing not being a bee can be a bit of a pain in the ass. So I always recommend bee form when possible. Okay, that's actually general advice for life.
Yeah, just when possible, bee.
When possible, bee.
Okay.
Honorable mentions. I'll go first, because I can't not mention Guitaru Man. in Guitar Man, in one level, you were walking through a forest, and suddenly King Mojo B jumps out and challenges you to a duel. He is an African American disco dancer who's dressed as a bee, and he plays the mad sax. He's the best. I don't know. It's like that's what I love about this sort of PlayStation era games. Any combination of elements works.
You can do any of the things,
Yeah.
and it's fine.
I am the disco jazz man in B form. Why not? It's fantastic. Man, I don't even remember where I played Guitar Man. Did you have it on something, James?
No, I didn't own it.
Somebody had it, because I don't own it, and I know I've played it.
Maybe you dreamt you played it.
No, because it's a really interesting rhythm mechanic, those games. I don't know why it sort of hasn't come back in other forms, because it's sort of like your Elite Beat Agents style thing, but with just a really, like, it's each section of the song is actually a battle. It's two people fighting, so you sort of have attack and defense and the different styles of gameplay in each one.
Yeah.
You gotta, if you haven't played, have you ever played one, James?
No, I haven't.
There is only one. Oh, God. Yeah, you should. It'll be right up your alley. Guitar Man is fantastic. And King Mojo B is great. Other than that, the Zelda series, always strong on bees. Recently, Link Between Worlds, there's the golden bee that I managed to get. My golden bee.
Oh, nice.
Bumble on the N64. Insector X, which is just sort of a shmup, but it's got an awesome intro song. And I think I mentioned most other things. Oh, obviously Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Yeah.
The amazing sort of sad bee that got kicked out by his wife because he was trying to have sex with a flower.
That's what they do.
Yeah, then you had to tickle the big-titted flower with tiny bees. Tickle bees. Fuzzy bees. And in Castle Crashers, you could be a killer beekeeper.
Oh, yeah.
Good stuff. Anyway, James, your honorables?
I, to be honest, didn't have many honorables. There was, in Final Fantasy XIV, there was a bee cloud in there somewhere. And I'm sure Diablo has clouds of bees. Not too many. I thought this was a really interesting pick, and I really like that you picked it, because it got me looking for this very obscure thing in games that I liked, and sort of finding some interesting things. And I think bees themselves are pretty fascinating creatures. I kind of put them up there almost as awesome as ants, just in terms of their structure and what they do.
Ants just like...
They're the bees, they're like the ants of the sky. That's what a bee is.
Ants just get in stuff and bite, and they make your cereal taste yucky.
Yeah, interesting. Some interesting stuff to think about this week. I liked it.
Ben, you got a lot of honorables, I imagine.
No, sorry. No honorables this week.
I should have written down more of my things, because no, we'll have lots of stuff. Man, bees are awesome. James, what is our pick next week?
Okay, our pick next week is going to be top 5 games with time travel.
Awesome. I know what you and I will definitely have on our list.
Yeah, I know as well.
Yes. All right. Guess that brings us to the end of the episode. Thank you for listening to Top 5.5 Bit. You can catch us on the website, 8.5bit.com, our Twitter, and Facebook. Please like and share anything you like on that. And if you follow us, you can check out our daily Game Watch. Subscribe to us on iTunes, and if you do, please leave us a review, because reviews make more people follow us, and it shares the love. Thank you for listening. I've been your host, Paul.
And I've been James.
I'm still Ben.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Have a very bee week.
Keep busy.
Oh, I like it. One more bee pun from Ben.
Hope you feel well.
What?
Good work.
I did it on purpose.
Good work, honey. Okay.
There we go. Thanks, everyone.